So I wonder, how do I want to draw the, if I want to draw the back. Like, I wonder if it's even worth it. Like, if there's anything that could be happening on the back. All right, so there we go. There we go. Some really loose anatomy. Now, really, I just want to show off the collar. There we go. So this purple collar is on top of that. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So I'm trying to think. Every jacket has like the shoulder here, and her collar's popped up to like behind her head. So she has her hair. So is it 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. And she has the sleeves. Like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's that. All right. Okay. Okay. There's that, and then there we go. It's looking mad loose. It's all good. I might want to try another render of something. Like to play around with her hair a bit. But, oh, we'll see. Probably not. It's already so busy, so convoluted already. Damn, my shadows are really strong here, huh? Like I'm looking at the shadow dropping over this drawing. That's nuts. Okay, so this is going around that. Now, is there anything I want to do down here? Like, so, yeah, that's something I wanted to do, I forgot. There we go. One little something. Yeah, forget about it, man. I'm trying to think what do I want to do for the back. Because I was thinking of something, but because this wraps around, it wraps around her collar. And she has this inside black collar that goes with the suit. So it's almost like the purple collar is underneath. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything we can do with the back. Like if okay. go. Just a little something. But let's just do this, right? There we go. There we go. Oh, shit. Maybe shouldn't have did that. I forgot her gloves were pink. That's what happens when I don't do the close-up of the sleeve like I wanted to. Man, I've been I do some toilet reading material, and something that I've been reading lately is I've been going through my Conan novels. I bought the first 8, the ones that Frank Frazetta painted the covers for, and those are pretty much the only ones I'm gonna be getting. But I've been I read the first 2 books, maybe something like that, and then it hit me, with the current book that I'm reading. one of the stories in there is Tower of the Elephant, and Tower of the Elephant is one of the standout ones that I remember reading the comic book to, because I have the comics, of course. And ah, that's how I do that. So, something that I haven't been doing, and I just started it, is rereading the comic book along with the book. So I'll read like a few chapters of the book, I'll get a bit of the story, and then I'll crack open the comic book and then look at the visuals. Because you know I've had them for so long. They were the first comics I ever bought back when I was 16 years old. So like, you know, I've had them forever, and the Frost Giant's Daughter is one of my favorite ones. Um, I went to go animate that a long time ago before my computer crashed in 2013, but you know, that's a whole nother story. Anyways, not to get caught up in that, but just, you know, to talk about how much I love Conan. So I've been reading the novels, and um, yeah, it just hit me like, oh yeah, I can reread the comic books, you know, double the fun. And it's been so cool, man. I love revisiting these comics, you know, because I spent money on them, and they just sit on the shelf, you know, and I'll go through them, I'll skim through them from time to time, to try to remember something, or you know, for you know, this reason or that reason. I'm a big fan of Kerry Nord. I got to meet the man in person at one of the conventions I was at. Super cool guy, love him, and he I loved his art style, and something that I'm kind of looking at while I'm reading the comic book along with the book, but in the comic book specifically is his art, obviously, and he I I'm like looking at it with a critical eye, and you know, there's some panels that have a lot of detail in them, and some of them that don't, and I'm actually gonna go run and pick it up, and so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. But he someone asked me a while back, like, hey, what parts of anatomy are you kind of like studying or struggling with or whatever with? And I always tell them it's like right now it's the lower back, like the back in general. But you know, I'm okay with the shoulders. Like I'm kind of just I kind of freestyle it and it kind of works out. So I'm like, all right, I'm good with the I'm good with the upper back area. You know, I have a few notes and techniques that I apply, and they seem to work. So I'm like, okay, good. It's how I've gotten good at all the anatomy. Is I kind of like try some stuff out, and then once I'm like, hey, what if I do it like this? Can I do it like this forever? Like every time I go to draw it, as long as I keep a certain something in mind, can I draw the back in a way that I'm happy with? And you know, going from not knowing how to draw back to developing a technique to draw it and doing it. And when it's like, yeah, you could do it, I'm like, oh, for sure. So the upper back, I got a technique and it works. The lower back is still something that I'm like really trying to figure out for the most part. And as I was reading this comic book, you know, I'm looking at Kerry Nord's pencils. It was funny when I first met him. I said, "The man's so good, he doesn't need an inker," because his Conan comic books, they're all pencils. They're colored in, you know, they're digitally colored by color artists, but he's they don't ink his work so as to recreate the Frazetta effect. And you know, so it's really dope. I really love the style, and you know, super inspirational for me. When you know, before I learned how to ink, all I did was pencil, and yeah, with just pencils, it was inspiring to have someone like Carrie Nord or even Dark Horse to publish a comic book without an inker. And it gave me hope. You know, we're talking a long time ago now, after I've applied for so many jobs and never got them, so that hope is burnt. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like it just made me feel like, oh, okay, you don't need comic books don't need to be inked. And this is probably before I read Arkham Asylum, where you know there's the painterly style, and I wasn't really into comic books at the time, and I've learned about them since then. But yeah, when I saw a only penciled style, I was like, oh, for sure, this is my jam now. There we go. So yeah, before I start coloring this, let me go run and get that book. It's just in my bathroom. Don't worry about why it's in there. And yeah, I'll be right back. Give me a second. All right. So talking about we back. So talking about my problems with the lower back and looking at Kerry Nord and looking at his artwork with a critical eye and all this stuff. This is the one I'm reading, and I'm reading the actual novel, but I'm co-reading the graphic novel, and so when some of the short stories that Robert E. Howard wrote line up with some of the comic book stuff I have, because the comic is put um, in a chronological order, um, while the books that he wrote are kind of random. So there's a lot in this story that isn't in the novel, and it all takes place like while Conan's still young and things like this. But there's see like this Crown of Tiamat. I don't know if that's in the novel that I'm reading right now, but later on in this book, there's this chapter 4, and here's the Tower of the Elephant. And yeah, man, it's really cool how the writer of the graphic novel or the comics took. Yeah, I see Tower of the Elephant. Are we blurry? Sorry about that. Whenever I flip books and pages and stuff like that, it tends to get blurry. But yeah, so in the Tower of the Elephant, I started reading the novel. I said, you know what? Let me go back and read the graphic novel. And I'm looking at these, and as you can see, they're pencils, but they're digitally colored. And you know, now that I'm looking at it more critically, I was like, oh, okay, these are kind of rough, but there are some things that are like just done really good. And I love revisiting these and looking at them because it, you know, you see the corners that were cut, or not even just for Carrie Nord, but like in comic books in general, because I have so many comic books, how many corners get cut to tell to draw these things fast, to get all the panels out and everything like that. And either way, I really enjoy this, and it you know it's so good, it's so fitting. But then I also think about how what they wanted to do was recreate kind of the Frazetta look, and Frazetta doesn't really have any really heavy blacks in his work. His stuff is always the either gray or purples or navies in the shadow areas, or dark green, you know, never gets really pitch black unless he means it to for the look of that specific one. And while I was reading it today, there was a certain panel that really caught my attention as far as like the lower back. And you get to draw Conan all day long. You're basically just drawing the perfect male specimen. So there's a lot of like just good looking manly anatomy as well as females, but there's none in this story in particular so far. Right now it's just about Conan being a thief, and he runs into another thief, and they're stealing from this wizard who's a dude. So it's like three dudes for the most part. And yeah, it's amazing how much the everything is so kind of the same almost. You know, I see there are certain words that are different, like all of these, how it's just text and there's no real dialogue except for this little bit down here. Um, you know, it's basically taking the book and you know breaking it into panels. And this is something that I was trying to do when I was making the Frost Giant's daughter animation. You can go to my website gmrdrew.art to check that out. Uh, and read that story. But you know, I've been looking at this all critically, and even like look at something like this. Like it's a good drawing, but look at where his pencils stop, and look at how much color the color artist kind of had to fill in for him. He was basically, you know, just outlining stuff and throwing heavy lines wherever there's shadow, and then kind of throwing in quick lines for the shadow and moving on. But then you have like drawings like this that are so heavily detailed and you really catch like what the character looks like and things like that. So, you know, I just really appreciate, you know, the look and everything, especially, you know, when I was 16, 17 years old reading these, and not really having any good inking skills. Very inspirational to look at this and be like, this is possible. And then you read Arkham Asylum one day and then you realize, oh, that's possible too? Holy shit. Like, comics don't just always have to be like black ink and digital colors and things like that. Like, you can basically do anything. But let me try to find the panel that I'm talking about that I really looked at it and I was like, that is so well put together. I might say like, oh, he's cutting corners or whatever when I'm talking about like how fast he must have had to have drawn these things in order to keep up with production or whatever. Um, but there's some parts that were just drawn so well, like even just like shading out the back muscles like this, and just catching that. So dope. Um, Even here, you don't really see the back muscles so much. Like you're basically just gesturing in the body, but you throw that cat shadow on there, and all of a sudden it's like, man, everything is so well put together. Let me try to find that one. I think he's when he's fighting a spider, like a giant spider. It had me thinking other ideas while I was reading that, but then I paused on this one panel, and I was just like, holy crap, this is so good. Like even here, you don't even see too much lower back. You know what I mean? But this is like the stuff that I struggle with, is trying to figure out what's going on in these areas, you know? And, you know, even from the side, you know, it's easy to draw like, okay, abs and then the obliques and then, you know, you have the lat and everything like that. Um, but then what's going on with the hip area and the lower back area, and trying to draw that stuff. Like even that is so good. The shading and everything. Man, I really enjoyed these and love these books. And it's so much fun revisiting, like I said, revisiting them and reading the story twice, basically. But once I'll read just the book itself, so that way I see it in my head, and then I go back and then I'll read up to that part in the comic, and see what's happening there. And see how like Carrie Nord interpreted what the graphic novel writer wrote based off of the original novel. So good to see this stuff, man. Even here, you don't really see the lower back area, but it's good to see, you know, you can kind of make out a bit of the glute, and then he has like the waistband from his loincloth or whatever, and then it's just glute and lats. You know, it's like, damn, man, I really don't know what goes on there. And then you see like a drawing like this that has like a lot going on, and then something like this, and you're like, whoa, man, there's so much. Oh yeah, so here's the so much variety. I mean, so here's the spider. So we got to be coming up to it. Oh, I love this. I was reading this earlier today too, and just drawing the feet. So it's so good. You know, and I'm looking at the angular and how rough it is, but also all the detail. Like the insane amount of detail that he put on the feet, but then how like quickly he just kind of gestured in this guy collapsing. You know, he didn't even throw the shade on it or anything like that. You know, just like kind of drop shadows, and that's about it. And then a little bit of back there on behind the one knee. So you look at that, and then you look at these feet, and you're like, holy shit. So crazy. Anyways, we should be getting to that panel. So he's fighting the spider, jumping around. Here it is. And I was looking at this foreshortening, and I was looking at the back, and it's just so well put together. And what I really liked was this dimple, and I was like, holy shit. Like, it's just so well put together. Even just that much right there just taught me a lot. I was like, okay, here's the glute, goes like that, but drawing the glute from this angle, kind of looking up, yeah, you would put that dimple there. And that's kind of like where the glute kind of like turns and arcs, you know what I mean? Like kind of, it's a weird shaped muscle. But yeah, I was really impressed with that. But yeah, I think this is as far as I read today, so I don't want to go past this page and spoil it. I'm gonna read the book and see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, this is the type of stuff I'm looking at when I'm just going through my everyday life, and like, you know, you could always, there's always time to learn. So I'm, you know, I just sit on the toilet, I read a book, I'll, you know, book chapter or two, and then I read the graphic novel to keep up with the book, and then kind of compare and contrast the story, and how did they render the monster? How is the setting similar to what I imagined in my head? All that other stuff. And then you see like dope things like these feet, which is like holy cow. And then like just that dimple in the glute, and it's like, oh my god, so well done. And then even just following the spine at that point, and then like how the shoulder muscles go, and then how the back strap is kind of everything just becomes kind of bulbous with the foreshortening, but it's so well done, so well put together. Anyways, yeah, man. Love me some Conan. All right, let's get back to this. Let me throw in some colors, some stuff. What do I got? I got like an hour left. Crap. What what is I'm gonna do, man? Do I have enough time? Oh, let me move my microphone. My microphone is kind of all up in my face. Sorry. Stay still. Let's refocus. And now let's color. So yeah, even just that dimple helped me put in this dot that you see me, on her backside. That's why I thought about it. So I was drawing her back, and then I was drawing, her butt, and then I was like, okay, the legs are like that, so the butt's gonna be like this, and then I just thought about that dimple from earlier, and I was just like, oh, there it is. And it's stuff like that that just helps me, do what I do and draw what I draw. Just in case anybody was wondering. Nobody's wondering. Nobody cares. Okay. Tarada Katsuya? I almost bought that book. Oh wow, David Finch does the same thing I do. He'll buy a Japanese book even though he can't read it. Wow. Alright. So there's that. There we go. I think that's all the gray. Let's get the purple in there. There we go. Yeah, so I just threw like a little cape that drops down underneath the shoulders as well. There we go. Okay, yeah, he's the guy who worked on Blood, the Last Vampire. Boom. Let's see. You just accent that suit with the black. Man, it looks so good. All right. go. There's that. There's that. I wonder if I could just draw her hand on the other part of this square here. Like if I can draw and then the sleeve kind of pops out like that. And then she has her elbow there, wrist, and then her hand. There we go. There's that. And there's that. There we go. There we go. Just to kind of give her gloves a little bit of wrinkle. Okay. this. All right. You know what? I probably should have just did this in black first. Yeah, definitely should have went black first. I'm basically just covering up all the gray I did. There we go. There we go.
Amy Morris has a cheap super chat for $22. Amy says, "Lady Meredith, this is Tom speaking into the missus account. She and our lovely son share their birthday tomorrow, and as much as it pains the Lord of the flock, love you guys and the flock. Punishing never stops.
There we go. All right.
Happy birthday to Amy and Tom's son.
And let me
I don't know
get
his name. Happy
the marker to
birthday
kind of
to
shape
Amy
out these
and
fingers a
Tom's
bit.
son, but I don't know his name. I do. Stop it. I'm the artist here. Happy birthday to Amy and Tom's son, but I don't know his name. Happy birthday to you. Look, I don't tell you how to draw. You don't tell me how to sing.
There we go.
Many more.
Don't have a really light pink I can use to kind of fill in. Oh yeah, That's really light.
Arkham says only Meredith can get away with a mic drop without spitting some ill lyrics.
Yeah.
And Jimmy. Jimmy, Jimmy. Jimmy, Jimmy. Jimmy, where's my t-shirt?
I am so big on your screen.
You're enormous. Where's my t-shirt, Jimmy? Where's my t-shirt?
Oh, Dave didn't tell you what happened? He didn't tell I said, Dave, listen, we really gotta get this shirt from her. And he said, Jimmy, don't be a source.
Oh.
She really doesn't want it. And I said, oh, that breaks my heart, Dave. So, you know the rule, whenever, you know the rule, and whenever, you're blank for something, throw Dave on the bus.
No, Dave would. That's actually something Dave would do too.
Man, these markers.
Dave
Do I not have a light pink that is like legit?
Where's my shirt, Dave?
No, that's, yeah. Sorry, Jimmy. No, yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'll forget it, but for the road trips, people are walking.
Alright. Anyway.
Keep them clean. They're sweet, by the way. But the truth is that Dave Philpott, who was no longer my partner when we graduated, was the one that had the connection to the printers. I don't know if you have access to being able to print those shirts, but I will do new shirts in the future.
I mean, if I got a t-shirt from Jimmy at this point, I don't even know what I'd do.
There we go.
Well, I mean, we're still friends. We're still friends. And he's a very, very talented writer. Yeah, we just, aren't working together on very much.
There we go. What's today? Yeah, how do I only have 40 minutes left?
Me? If I on my phone or on the screen? Oh, well, when I use Streamer, yeah. But you got like the really great setup. Like you actually have a really OBS and Streamer, so you get the best of both worlds.
Alright. this up just a bit.
not let it sit there. It just kept calling my name, and I ate that through the night. I worked through the night to get that one done.
Well, and to be fair, we all know
Alright.